Our next story is a little hard, but we're going to get into it. It's from the Minnesota shooter. So on June 14th, 2025, a gunman, 57-year-old Vance Boyletter, carried out politically targeted assassinations, killing two individuals and injuring two more at their homes. Authorities say Bolter has a list of 45 targets in his home. Thankfully, he was captured before more happened. Key Republican figures, including Senator Mike Lee, used the tragedy as a political weapon. Rather than mourn or lead, Lee attacked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, noting that Bolter had once been appointed by him. Lee posted online, quote, "Nightmare on Walt Street," and, quote, "This is what happened when Marxists don't get their way," despite no evidence that the shooter identified as a Marxist. That same weekend, in Lee's own state of Utah, a man opened fire at a carnival, injuring three people, including an 8-month-old baby. Another Utah Republican was killed after pointing a rifle at peaceful protesters. Lee said nothing about either. No sweeping generalizations, no blame, and no introspection. And he wasn't alone. Donald Trump used the killings to bash Governor Walz. Elon Musk chimed in, claiming that, quote, "the far left is murderously violent," end quote. And provocateurs, sorry, and right-wing provocateurs like Laura Loomer pushed conspiracy theories, blaming protesters with no evidence at all. So let's get into this. I know earlier we talked about war. I think in moments like this, it's just such a more intimate and close to home when we see these kinds of murders, assassinations happening. I'm kind of wondering how you feel in terms of the way that these larger leader figures are responding to the media in these moments.
I don't want to be too hard on the media on this one, believe it or not. I know that's weird for me to say, but
I never heard you say that.
but I mean, I think they kind of have like a uphill task, right? Because at least the way I see it so far, they kind of two lanes. One is you can go the Mike Lee lane where you try and frame this in some political narrative, right? Where you make it a us versus them. And I think that's totally irresponsible. And it's that kind of divisive coverage that got us to this point. But alternatively, you could speak with some empathy. You could talk about issues of, say, gun violence or division in this country and how we need to come together. But they've been doing that for 25 years. It hasn't worked. And so if you're in the media, I'm like, well, what do you really do at this point? I mean, you've told the public. How many of these stories have we covered? I saw Jon Stewart on a segment on Monday, and he said they listed all the shootings they could think of kind of in the last 25 years. And he's like, it's not even a comprehensive list. And my wife and I were watching it. We were naming shootings that he had forgotten. That's how much ingrained they are in our head. I'm not like an expert on this topic. It's just, we all know these things.
Mm.
So I think, the media has a really uphill battle here. I think the responsibility is not on them. I think it's really on the larger culture. And people like Mike Lee, the behavior he exhibits there, that is the problem. There's no political movement behind this shooter. I didn't see a single person celebrating or advocating this right, left, or center. So I don't know. I just think this is a cultural issue that we need to address democratically as a public. And I don't really hold the media that accountable at this point in time.
Mm.
I think it's very cultural. It's kind of becoming this is a big story. I think the media did a good job covering it as it broke. I also don't really have too many criticisms. But I mean, maybe they could be clearer on the clearing up. Someone reporting on the fact that Mike Lee, was talking some BS about there being the shooter being Marxist when actually it's a Trump supporter, like sort of clearing up some of that. But yeah, to Nolan's point, it really is this sort of similar to the school shootings, that it's just, it has become a part of American culture. And that, again, like this decades long debate about gun control, which seems to kind of be abandoned by many, where we just have, it has become normalized, which is the troubling and sort of demoralizing part, that, is this just what we accept as living in the United States, that you might, events like the assassinations will happen, or that public shootings are just, you might be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And should you go outside? Should you put yourself out there in, especially when it's really important. We have potentially World War III on the, about to break out. And are we afraid to go out and express our political feelings and our
Mm.
sort of morality, and will we be killed for it? It's like, is that our culture? I think that's the reckoning. I totally agree with Nolan there, and I hope for the best with us, but it's hard. It's hard when you see the decades long pattern of this being repeated and repeated.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And Dickie, you made a good point. I do really feel you and hear you when you're saying that this conversation on gun control is one that's kind of been abandoned. I actually agree with you because it is a conversation that I haven't heard in the media or have heard from even colleagues in a long time. And I wonder if that's because of the kind of increase of other issues, or if it's really about just this, we've repeated it over and over again and got nowhere with it. Do you have like a sense of
Yeah,
where it's coming from?
I think it's definitely like there's a lot going on in the world right now. We
Yeah.
don't have enough time to spend, but also, um, yeah, perhaps. I mean, many people think that gun control has. I mean, I think there's a collection of folks who are probably, pundits or media or power, people in the tops of the Democratic Party who believe that gun control, being really hard on gun control, is why Trump has won or why they're losing districts. I think that
Sure.
they are misread. Maybe there's a misreading of that. I think that Democrats lose because they're too corporatist, not so much about gun control. If they, offered gun control and raised the minimum wage, or try to work for healthcare, maybe they would win. But I think that there's a and sort of a analysis that perhaps that is gun control it's too risky politically to really perpetuate. And yeah, I think it's probably a couple things, that whatever kind of faction of the wherever you are in the party, it's or politically, it seems either futile or too risky.
Absolutely. Well, let's go into, because you talked about being able to go out and protest and being able to really participate in being protesting.
Hey Detoxers, thanks for tuning in to the Disinfo Detox. If you're enjoying the content, head over to nolanhigdon.substack.com for full access to the podcast as well as other original essays. Want to support the Detox? Consider becoming a paid subscriber. You'll get early and exclusive access to interviews, podcasts, essays, and more. If a subscription's not in the cards for you right now, no worries. Just like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow. It helps grow the audience and spread the word. Until next time, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and keep detoxing the disinfo.